And welcome to the M2 podcast. This is the show where we cover your week in review for gaming industry related news. We're looking at esports and personalities, new and upcoming games, technology and innovation, and pretty much just like what's been going on in the world of gaming the last week. I'm your host, Michael Anthony, my co-host, Mr. JK Heath, Kyle Heath. And what we like to do at the start of every episode is just, what have you been up to, Kyle? What has been going on in your life the last week?
Oh, dude, it's a good question. There was one game I pretty much mained this week. I got some time in. Back for Blood, funny enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I want to play some of that.
Jealous.
It's actually so it was like me and we've had a couple sessions now over the past week. The first session was just me, two of my boys, and then we had a fourth join us for the second session. Both of them were actually a lot of fun. I don't know. There's something about like I guess the Left 4 Dead vibe. Something about that I missed, and so getting to have that experience again was actually pretty rad. So yeah, I want to say we're still in the first act. There's like 5 acts, but funny enough, each act is not as long as one another. So like the first act's like the longest, and then they kind of like get shorter as the game goes on. But it's still like, I mean, in terms of hours, it's still pretty up there, and there's a lot of content there. So we're pretty excited, but. We're probably about like 5-6 hours in, I'd say.
A lot of replayability.
Yeah, I would say so. There's a lot of systems I still haven't like fully like comprehended yet. Like there's like a whole card system, and there's like corruption cards which kind of show you like the enemies and stuff you're gonna face throughout the level, and there's like every character has a specific like trait that they bring to the team. So whether it's like health benefits, ammo benefits, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and the shop and stuff's pretty cool. Sometimes, well, probably most of the time, like when it comes to guns and everything, we would just get screwed over by RNG, so we wouldn't get anything good. So it's like just like sitting in the shop and just buying your armor and stuff for the round, and that's about it. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's a game that we've actually been looking forward to playing and getting back on. So always a good feeling. But yeah, other than that, it's actually been a video editing week for me as well. So been in the editor's den a little bit. So a little bit of back and forth, but a pretty good balance this week overall. So it was kind of the first like normal week I've had in a while. So it felt good to just kind of get in the swing and just do stuff. So what about you, Mike? I know
Awesome.
I know you've been going through some stuff, man. Just trying to catch up.
Yeah. So I guess. What did I say last episode? I think last episode was the first recording that we had in my new place. That's what, for people that are watching, this is the new place. And it was a wreck, an absolute, it was destroyed. And basically what ended up happening is we moved. We had the guest episode, that's right. We had the guest episode, shout out Crazy Miller. Go check that out if you haven't already. Then we went to HCS Orlando. I got sick from Orlando, and I gave it to my roommate and partner, and she was a total wreck.
Oh,
like it hit her bad. It hit her real bad.
Oh, jeez.
So we've been having to deal with that while trying to unpack before we're going on a different trip on Sunday. So it's like most of my time has been like taking it easy because I was sick, trying to get a little bit healthier, and making sure we're just completely unpacked. We got like a lot of stuff. So it's just been pretty overwhelming. When it comes to like gaming, man, I've hopped on Rocket League twice on my Xbox One in the living room. Like I haven't really touched the PC. There's so many games in October that we're gonna get into that like are gonna be releasing soon. So I'm like, I gotta finish everything as quickly as possible so I can download it and play these games. Like I would love to play what was Back for Blood. I have that game downloaded. Like one of my buddies and I were supposed to go through it, but we just haven't had an opportunity to. Something keeps coming up. But Overwatch 2 came out this week, and I really want to download that game. I got people still DMing me right now, or just like, so Overwatch tonight? I was like, I can't. Maybe we'll see. Like I still got stuff to do. So I've just been busy IRL stuff, man. That's pretty much it.
Hey, sometimes it's like that, dude.
Yeah.
Hopefully it levels out soon, and you're going on that trip. Hopefully a nice few days left of recovery before then. Hopefully by then you guys will be good. But Yeah,
Yeah,
crazy.
I fully expect everything to be okay. We got steroid antibiotics, I think is what they're called. There's like a
Yeah,
famous name for it. It's like $20. They're like really
yeah.
really good. So that's taking care of most of the problems. But enough of the boring stuff, man. Why don't we jump
Good.
into the news? Like, what were we able to find for us this week?
Oh, we got some good stuff. Got some interesting stuff. In fact, Overwatch 2 is on the docket. For not the best reason, but I think it's gotten better since since the article dropped. But it's still something I wanted to mention. So, the first article we're gonna get into is a little hardware. You know, I like to start off with some hardware stuff because why not? And sure enough, the Valve Steam Deck has a dock now. It actually came out this week. It's now available to order. It's $90 or $89. It's depending on you look at it. But it's essentially a Switch dock for the Steam Deck, which is pretty exciting stuff. At least I think. And this is something I honestly felt like Valve should do this, and the fact that they are doing it, it's like it's like I'm and they know what they're doing, and it's
Yeah,
just it's looking pretty good. There's a picture of it in the article, as you can see. Definitely not the size of a Switch dock because that's like the first thing you want to compare it to. Um, but I kind of like the slim form factor and kind of the it's just kind of tucked away. It's propped up and then it's plugged in through the top port, and then you're given everything you need to connect to a bigger display. So I'll be curious to see how it performs. I wonder if I haven't even checked if there's like videos or stuff like that, but I definitely want to like check after this and see what all the rage is about. But just a little bit of the article. So Valve's official dock is intended to make it easier to hook up to the handheld gaming PC to a monitor or television. The dock has 3 USB-A 3.1 Gen 1 ports, a gigabit Ethernet port, a display port 1.4, and an HDMI 2.0 port. It connects to your Steam Deck via a USB-C cable that plugs into the USB-C port on the top of the device. Unlike the Switch, using the dock won't increase the power of your Steam Deck. It only lets you charge the device and connect it to an external display. So getting back to the picture, since it's so minimal, it's like I feel like this is probably all they need for something like this. It seems like pretty adequate for probably most people's needs. You have the USB-A port still, and you have pretty much everything you need there. I mean, and the options for hooking up like multiple displays too. It seems like or just having at least so many different options to actually to work with, whether it's HDMI or DisplayPort, is a really nice. It's a nice thing, and you can tell they really consider that. Trying to reach as many people as possible. So very cool stuff there. A little bit more. Just read this little paragraph. It says Valve says it has confirmed that the dock is compatible with a wide range of displays and peripherals. However, Valve acknowledges that there's a chance that it missed some, given that many displays and accessories on the market. The company has also spelled out a bug with some LG displays that it's working to address, but says it can be fixed by sleep-wake cycling your Steam Deck or unplugging and then plugging the dock back in. No surprise there. There's some problematic displays, right? Some
yeah.
problematic stuff, but yeah, I mean, there's of course, more with the article, but I mean, I just want to know, like, I mean, what are your thoughts on this, Mike? I think it's a pretty neat little dock they made.
I think it's awesome. I wanted to compare it to the Nintendo Switch dock, but it's kind of hard to do a direct comparison. I'm just happy they actually have a dock now. Like the Steam Deck is something that I've always thought should have a dock.
Yeah,
Like just like the convenience of a Nintendo Switch, just to, like pop it in, hook it up to your computer, like monitor or TV immediately is so nice. I actually have a second tier brand out of Japan. No, sorry. Well, it's made in China, like everything, but I think it's out of Japan. It's called Yoke or
mm-hmm.
Yoke, Yoke. I'm holding it right now. So this is for the Nintendo Switch. This is what I use for my like personal setup. It's
Oh,
like in the
nice.
front they have two USB A's. I don't know what generation they are. But there's two in the front.
Nice.
There's one in the back with an HDMI and a micro USB C or a USB C port for one the power, and then there's one on the top for connection. And it basically is like super slim factor, just like this Steam Deck is. And
Yeah.
because I got this specifically because it's like it's not bulky, it's not big, it's like
Yeah.
pretty straightforward. You just pop it in, you're fine. It's real nice. It does the job. So this is something I'd be interested in if I had a Steam Deck. I think it's a really good idea, and I really like this idea of having a gigabyte Ethernet port.
Yeah. Dude, I know, like, that's huge. And you can tell, like, they thought about that, right?
Massive. Yeah, because like Nintendo Switch doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember what's the last Nintendo device that had an Ethernet port.
God, that's a good question. See, I like wasn't super. I didn't keep up super like close with them, but I don't
I
know.
know GameCube does.
Yeah,
But
Wii U maybe. I don't know because I'm trying to remember if the Wii had one, but I don't think it did.
yeah, I mean, well, Nintendo doesn't really. Let's be real. They don't really care about online multiplayer.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, right? I mean, it's from
So
what, it
unfortunate.
sounds like they're kind of getting better about it. I know with like especially like Splatoon 3 and stuff like that. It seemed like they were working towards making a better online experience, but
yeah, they updated their servers and their netcoding, I think is what they
yeah,
said.
I think so. Yeah,
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Definitely making strides, right? So
yeah, I guess if I have a ton of Steam games that are specifically good to use, like a console, right? Like portable, but also a console. Like you can sit in the living room on the couch. This is amazing. This is like something you should seriously look at. And you could probably use a mouse and keyboard if you wanted to.
yeah, yeah. I mean, sure. I mean, especially if you have this dock, like you can just hook up anything, and I'm sure it is compatible with that. So if you wanted to just make it it's almost, it kind of reminds me of like a Mac Mini in a sense of just like it's like just sits on your desk, you plug in peripherals, and then it's just a whole PC and like the form factor of like a really tiny tablet. So I'll be very curious to see how it actually performs, like connected to the dock and everything. And,
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, just see like, because I'm almost like fearful of like if you plug this into a bigger display and it's still like the performance is of course going to be locked to what the device is capable of. So it's like you're going to have like these lower frame rates, and I'm very curious to see how it actually performs docked. So again, I'm going to be watching all the videos on it and just just checking those out. But yeah, I think the Steam Deck too. Like the more I think about it, like it'd be kind of nice just to sit on the couch, grab a drink, and just play on the couch in the living room, like a different environment.
Yeah, there's so many like new story-driven games coming out too that are also going to be on PC and Xbox.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, that'd be perfect.
Yeah,
for PC Steam.
Yeah, I've honestly been considering getting. I was thinking about getting an adapter where I could actually like clip my iPhone to the top of my Elite controller and just like have like a little. Like I've been thinking about doing that just because like it would encourage me to like play some more like Game Pass games and stuff. Yeah, cloud games and whatnot. So.
Point. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, for sure. Next story: Overwatch 2 got hit by a DDoS attack on launch day. Kind of crazy, right? That's it's yeah. So I originally it's funny enough when I first heard the story, I originally heard like all over Twitter it was like, oh, DDoS attack hits Overwatch 2, and so like everybody and their mother was like, okay, these servers are like what's going on? Like why can they never launch with like working servers? And it just seemed like it was a lot of like just. I mean, obviously there were issues with it, but it also seemed like there was just a lot of like just players just flooding the servers because it was day one of launch.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, I pulled this article from IGN and it was all over the place. But Aaron Keller actually revealed that that there was a DDoS attack on launch day. He said, we're steadily making progress on server issues and stability, as well as working through a second DDoS attack. So it was 2 on the launch day. It's kind of nuts. We're all hands on deck, continue to work throughout the night, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for your patience, the whole spiel. So yeah, there was a whole thing on launch day of Overwatch 2, just lots of some DDoS issues and just really long queues. I can't count on my on one hand how many times I saw just 30,000 players in the queue, 20,000 players in the queue. It was just like that all day for a lot of people. But I also saw a lot of people were able to get games in, I guess if you're patient, so I mean, yeah, overall, I mean, I've heard good things about Overwatch 2. It's I think it's been minus the launch day, I think it's been pretty good. So I mean, just the main reason I bring up this article is are we ever going to learn that launch days are just going to be all over the place and just chalked, and are we ever going to get to a point where we actually pad the servers enough or add enough so that we don't have this issue? I mean, again, it's kind of hard to predict, and you don't want to over like pay and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
true.
wild.
I don't know how like server contracts go, but I would imagine you can't just do like a day contract to have a bunch of servers at once, right?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, because like the first week is always going to be super intense for most heavy hitter titles and big publishers.
Right. Yeah.
So, and a lot of people like don't understand too is like this can happen with indie devs as well. If their game just becomes crazy popular overnight, then their servers just can't handle anything.
Yeah.
Remember the No
Yeah.
Man's Sky had that issue, and which is hilarious because it's like a single player game. And then Rocket League is probably the most famous one that I can think of. Their servers made their game unplayable for like 2 months because of how popular it was.
Yeah. For real.
So it's wild. With Overwatch, dude, how do you feel about the DDoS attack? Like, I think it
Dude.
might have a lot to do. Like, it's a protest, right?
I mean, yeah.
Not of the
That's
game, maybe the studio. Like,
yeah.
Activision
I,
hasn't been the best.
it could be. I mean, this. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about Blizzard, right? So it's like, I mean,
Yes.
that's honestly like, I don't think that's too tinfoil hatty. That could very well be
No.
like a reason. Um. So yeah, it's something to really think about. But yeah, I mean, that's a solid point. Blizzard has certainly been the most under fire studio in the past. Yeah, ever since the
Lately,
start of the
yeah.
pandemic and even before that. So it's like
And yeah,
makes
some of the
sense.
stuff that's been coming out, like the way they've handled or not Overwatch, like World of Warcraft and stuff. And World of Warcraft is coming out with like a new expansion, aren't they?
I think
I
so. I can't
I've
never keep
I've seen a
track.
bunch of YouTube stuff like recently advertising stuff. But yeah, man. I still want to play Overwatch too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I know this game too, whenever if the Activision Blizzard deal actually follows through. I mean, I don't know. There's so many talks of like
likely will.
I didn't include an article this week, but there has still been an ongoing thread of,
Yeah.
countries that are accepting that, that are actually
Brazil being
accepting
the
that,
most
yeah.
recent.
Yeah, Brazil accepted the acquisition and now it's like kind of going down the chain. But now there's talks that the FTC could get involved later this year and like it's just like it's a whole like thing. So if that doesn't go through though, Overwatch 2 would be one of the games that end up showing up on Game Pass probably. So,
Yeah.
very exciting stuff. And yeah, it's something I'm certainly gonna play it if that's the case. I think for now though, I'll watch some gameplay and just kind of hang out. But yeah, I mean, I think the 5v5 model may do the game well. I don't know. I didn't play too much of the first one, but from what every time I did play it, I really enjoyed it. So, you know,
Yeah. That was when Overwatch first came out, it was probably my most played game for about 2.5 to 3 years, and I played it solely on the Xbox One.
dude, crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I had so much fun. I have like really nasty clips too, which is hilarious because it's the Xbox One. But I mean, like I grew up as a console kid, so take it as you will.
Yeah.
I'm excited though, but I got to play the beta. Did you get a chance to do that?
I did not. I was away, I think, whenever the beta happened. But yeah.
Yeah. I got a chance to play it, and they've already switched to 5v5 for a while now.
Oh, okay.
They did that way back in the day, like it feels like back in the day. And they changed a bunch of things with like the competitive league. So that's why a lot of the hype started dwindling down. But I played it pretty much into the 5v5 and like locked roles. And after that I was like, it's not really for me anymore. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna like try it out. Especially on a PC that I can like actually get like really good frames with good
Yeah.
graphics. And I have buddies that are like, let's play, man, let's go.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah. Definitely should. I think it'll be a lot of fun. It's a really good FPS. I mean, at least from what I played in Overwatch 1, it was super optimized, super smooth. So
Oh yeah. Oh
it's
yeah.
yeah.
That's the best way to describe it. Optimized.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this article reminded me too. It said that there's a Overwatch 2 official issues page, and there's been a bunch of players that have encountered unexpected server errors. I saw one. It was a player mid game. I'm trying to think of the character's name. It's Junkrat, I think. Is his alt like where he
The
like
Australian,
yeah,
yeah,
like he like
the
spins in the
Australian
air
like
and then like
lunatic with
slams down.
Peg.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So someone was mid alt. They wouldn't have slammed down. They were just about to hit the ground, and they got kicked from the server because it disconnected.
Oh
I was like, dude, that is so
no.
unfortunate. Oh yeah, it seems like there's a lot of that, at least on launch. So again, hopefully that's alleviated. But yeah, I thought it was funny to mention that even in 2022 we still have some weird launch days. Hasn't gotten too much better.
True. We're only second day in. Came out on the 4th, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah, it did.
Yeah, yeah, it came out on the
Yeah.
4th, so
No.
it's only gonna get better. I mean, some people just come in for the hype and they only play like 2 games and you never see them again, and then other ones come back for nostalgia and then they're like, "Okay, well, I wanna go back to the other game I was playing or I'm busy." So the server count goes down, less the stress, and then games become more routine, normalized.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'll stable out. It's just
Exactly.
I would be very I'm very curious to see if like a dev at a certain point is gonna finally try to like tackle the issue of like what can we do on launch day to ensure that we don't have issues like this, or if there's like even a way to fix that, because that's I think the first studio that figures that out, it's gonna be like game changing, you know?
Well, let me put on this tinfoil hat, okay? Why would they? So, hear me out. If they don't do it and the servers crash, then it makes news on IGN and possibly Forbes, maybe even public, like mainstream media, or they fix it and it's just like business as usual. The game came out, it's fun, and then it hits 5-star ratings.
Oh,
You know what I
I
mean?
hate how genius that is. Oh,
I think what if they're deliberately, I shouldn't say deliberately because they don't need to deliberately do it. They can't servers just can't handle 2 million people signing on all at once. Like
yeah.
immediately, you know?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and servers are
That's a very
really,
good
really
point.
expensive to maintain, and this is a solely online PvP game.
It's
So,
very true.
well, for now, they are adding PvE, I believe. I think
Yeah, I
that's
think
one
it's
of
in the works, you
it's
know?
free to play. PvE is going to be in there. They're adding more heroes and new game types. So it's not entirely a remake or like it's so weird. It's like it's not DLC, but it's not a sequel. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like Overwatch 2, it pretty much overrides everything from Overwatch on your consoles and PCs.
Yeah.
But it's like not the same game, but it's the same game. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Not sure either. You know what's kind of almost the same game, but we're deciding why not remaster it?
Oh gosh, what a segue.
Dude.
This
Horizon Zero Dawn, dude.
you're for people. Okay, so behind the scenes notes here. Um, at when we go through episodes and stuff like that, we try to pull like popular articles. And the note Kyle writes down, I should pull it up, but it's basically Zero Dawn remastered on the horizon. And then for for PlayStation, question mark, question mark, question mark, why? And I can hear your voice of like, what the F, dude?
Dude. I mean, I'm with the general camp here, so I'll go with the
Yeah,
article
you are.
first. So Horizon Zero Dawn is set to be the latest game that Sony is going to remaster, I guess, of their personal IP. And for those that don't know, Horizon Zero Dawn, it's not a very old game. I believe it came out in 2017, beginning of 2017.
Yes, it
And
did. I just looked up to the date.
yeah, and yeah, we're only like what 5 years after that, so not saying I guess that there's improvements they could make, but like if you look at some of the screenshots, especially this article has, it's kind of like it like compares Zero Dawn to Forbidden West, and it kind of gives you an idea of what a remaster could look like, because presumably they're going to use the same engine as the sequel, right? Like that's the whole idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's certainly more fidelity in the newer engine, but I mean, at the same time, it's like I don't know. I just think I'd be curious to see what they could do if they allocated this resources to like new IP or something, or just something different that's new or something like that. Because I feel like, and I mentioned this before, like before we like went live. Um, I think Last of Us Part One was
Yeah.
justifiable for a remake at this point. I mean, we're talking about a game that came out in 2013. It's almost 2023. So like, and there's big enough of a jump there that I think it makes sense. And they have the new technology. They have that the new engine looked gorgeous for part two. So like, yeah, why not just go and um remake that in the newer engine? And also they have an HBO series coming out that's going to bring traction to the game anyway. So it only makes sense to have that in place. So if people want to go and play the games, they have a great experience with one and two. I think it makes sense, right? Um, but I don't know, for this I don't see it. Like I mean I can't think of a justifiable reason for them to do this other than like they don't have anything else to do, or they're not ready to kind of like put a lot of focus in on like a new IP or a sequel to Forbidden West. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, kind of crazy. And I should probably read some of the article, just for a little bit, because there is stuff that and like I paint this like this is the only thing they're going to be working on. Guerrilla Games is doing other stuff, and I'll talk about that real quick. So, according to the article, Sony and Guerrilla Games are reportedly working on a multiplayer title set in Horizon universe. In 2018, Guerrilla Games rehired game director Simon LaRoche to work on an unannounced project or unnamed project. Some of his credits include working on Rainbow Six Siege and the online modes for Splinter Cell, Blacklist, and Killzone 2. He has a bit of a track record there. If the rumors are true, the Zero Dawn remaster will join a number of other Sony exclusives redone for the PS5, including Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, which is kind of interesting.
Tsushima.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, not the title. I'm just saying, like, the game
Oh,
itself. It's kind of interesting that's like, didn't that game just come out? Like, Uncharted 4. I mean, that game looks so good though. Like, and like it already looks good.
Yeah.
Like, I get it's the PS4, but like, it was at that like the middle point of the PS4. So like, I think it looked really good for its time. So just at least remember that. And it says here the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster is more likely going to be priced at $70, like Last of Us Part 1 was, which, take that for what you will. I know there's a lot of divisiveness about that amongst the community, whether or not that's too high of a price or too low. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's cool that like the multiplayer. I'm really curious to see what they're gonna do with the multiplayer with this universe. I think that'd be interesting. And I'm glad they're kind of still focusing on that. But it's like, dude, what are we doing, huh? Like, I don't want to say, I don't want to be like aggressive, but what are we doing? I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Mike? I'll get off my soapbox for a second.
I might join you. So, okay, so they're planning to upgrade Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, Uncharted 4, Last of Us. They just remastered, like we mentioned. Shout out to that trailer, by the way. Have you seen that trailer on HBO? It is fire for the live action. I'm
Yes,
very
sir.
excited.
Yeah.
But then Horizon Zero Dawn, man, like, didn't Horizon Dawn launch in 2017 around another super popular game and it lost a lot of traction? Yeah, it did.
I
It
think so.
it
Yeah.
launched it launched next to Breath of the Wild.
It was around that
Remember
time.
that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and most people went after Breath of the Wild. So I think what PlayStation might be doing specifically with Horizon Zero Dawn is trying to relaunch the game for people that didn't buy it.
Yeah. I could
think
see
that's
that.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah, why else, man? Like upgrading the graphics and not really adding any new DLC specifically for these remasters and then charging $70, who's your real target audience? Because it ain't the people that have already bought and played the game on PS4,
It's
right?
definitely not. Yeah. I
No
wouldn't think.
shot. So it's got to be for people that didn't get a chance to get the game for PS5. So maybe or that have PS5 now. So if I haven't played those games and I have a PS5 and I didn't ever get a chance to play those games, I'd probably wait and buy like Ghost of Tsushima upgraded graphics and like Horizon Zero Dawn. But other than that, it's like it doesn't make any sense at all why they would do that. Like,
Yeah.
were their sales figures not what they wanted? Is that what this is about? Like,
I
why are you
mean,
charging full price for a game with updated graphics?
yeah. I don't know, man. Sony
This is
just.
why PC is better.
I mean, this is why Sony's so weird. I mean, to the point about PC, this game just came out on PC, like kind of recently.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like it wasn't long.
yeah,
Like it wasn't long
yeah. You're
ago.
right.
Like, so it's like you already get the updated frame rates and everything from that. I'm sure it's a great experience. So I mean, I know I'm pretty sure it's full price, but I mean, still, you know, if you want to play it on
I
PC,
know.
it's there. So yeah,
I
I
think we're
agree.
just
I agree.
getting a little bit. I think we're getting a little bit spoiled towards like this Xbox Game Pass and like all these other Game Passes that are coming through, or like subscription services where you don't have to pay full price for a game. 22,
Yeah.
and it's a hard sell, man. It's a hard sell. $70 for a game that's been out for 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, no kidding. Yeah. And it's like, I get, they probably want more games like up to snuff for the PS5, right? Like they want to sell more for that console. And also, they announced we don't have it here, but they announced a new Need for Speed, and that's actually they're ditching PS4, Xbox One. Like it's just gonna be on the
Yeah.
current gen. So which again, I think is the right move, and like I always advocate for that. So um, yeah, very weird choice, but I feel maybe this is like all Sony has. They're just trying to hold on to that IP because that's their strongest thing right now. Um,
Yeah. Let's rob the customer.
yeah,
Maybe
I
I should
mean,
say
for
rob.
real.
That's a strong phrase, but I mean, it ain't good. I don't agree with it.
Yeah, sure, for sure, man. Well, I this next article is kind of like a weird one for me,
Yeah.
especially after
Like,
after
after
AM.
we've been
Oh man,
okay,
dude.
hit him with it. I
So
got some things to talk about as
yeah,
well for this
yeah.
article.
This may be a long one, so sit back. So Intel's Core i9 13K, so 13900 KS. It's this article says it's ripping the Ryzen 9 7950X in early benchmarks. And which wait till you see the stats, cause oh baby,
It's crazy.
it's kind of crazy. Um, so while the regular 13 Gen Core Raptor Lake processors are nearly here, the company's limited edition Core i9 13900KS is a few months away. But some Chinese PC makers appear to already have samples of the said CPU to prepare for the launch and even test their performance. The results were published over the Chinese Bilibili. Yeah, I hope I say it's like Dilly Dilly. It's in there, right? And it was discovered by HXL, and it turns out that the upcoming Core i9 13900KS is quite a mighty chip, as it manages to leave behind not only all Raptor Lake processors, but even AMD's shiny new Ryzen 9 7950X. Um, the processor packs 8 high-performance Raptor Cove cores, which is very interesting, as well as 16 energy efficient Grace mount cores, just like other top of the range Raptor Lake CPUs. While other 13900K processors can boost their performance cores all the way up to 5.8 gigahertz, the new processor promises 6 gigahertz boost clock speed. But in addition to this, the limited edition 13900KS version will also support a 350 watt turbo mode. It's going to increase the boost clocks even further depending on the motherboard quality and capabilities of the cooling system.
It's gonna melt something.
You can cook an egg on this thing, man. It says that this 350 watt mode is ultimately a way to increase single thread performance of Intel's upcoming limited edition i9 13900KS. I love that they keep saying the it's
All
like
the way too,
they
yeah.
keep saying the name. It's like, but perhaps companies secret weapon against the Ryzen 9 7950X processors based on the Zen 4 microarchitecture. I mean, yeah, I could keep going, but like, let me just scroll down a little bit. Just give it a second. Um, so again, we don't know the launch price of this new processor. Um, compared to some of the others. I mean, there's working with like 24 cores here on this on some of the older kind of i9 the i9 1300 processors that we know of. And then there's the Ryzen 9 in the center. This is a lot. I'm not going to read through all of this because this is a lot. The most important chart, I think, is the one right below it. It shows a single thread and multi-thread performance across the board on previous i9 13900 chips, the 12900, and the Ryzen 9 at the very bottom. So the Ryzen 9 7950X, the single thread performance is 787. The multi-thread performance is 15,663. And if we jump to this new chip, the 13900KS, the single thread performance is 982.5, and the multi-thread is 18,453. So 18,453. I mean, that's like it's just crazy the gap there between those two. Oh man, Intel's really just pulling out some punches here.
Yeah, I think it's a good rebound for Intel. I think overall. A couple of things to actually note is this article goes on and says we do not know exact hardware configuration testing by the owner of the Core i9 13900KS sample. Secondly, we are dealing with pre-production CPU with unknown specifications and cooling. Cooling is obviously vital for the 350 watt mode, and someone with LNT can get record results. Okay. Basically what they're saying is you can have like nitrogen cooling and then over max, overclock, like do whatever you want to get like super high ratings.
Yeah.
I get that, but still. but still, man, like close to 200 points higher on a single thread. We already knew that single threads were pretty intense for basically Intel. Intel usually is the single thread king, right?
Right, yeah.
Single core, single thread king. AMD trying to fight back, and they've been doing a really good job. The only thing that's like got me torn is like the Intel power that is going to be required out of your power supply is going to be significantly higher than any of the AMDs, but you get faster CPU performance and likely cheaper than AMD now, which is weird, right?
Yeah. It's very
Like the
weird.
price, like look at the pricing chart. It says the Core i9 13900K KF is going to be $589 or $564. It's like, I mean, it's configured a little bit differently, but if you max boost the entire clock speed, you're going to be just as fast as the Ryzen 9 7950K 50X for $100 cheaper.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be really, really interesting the next 6 months, I think, when these chips fully come out to testers,
Yeah.
specifically YouTube testers. Like, I want to see stock configurations and how they match up 1 to 1 and like the price difference. It's gonna be really cool to see.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, just to like, because when we talked about, Intel, they're still allowing DDR4, like they're not ditching it, like AMD is.
Yes.
Like stuff like that's already a pretty, I think this or like at this early in kind of the stage, and like I feel like we're still kind of in that like transition period. So like the fact that they're still keeping that, I think is definitely gonna help them. Um, but I mean, overall, this is just what we've seen over the past 5, 6 years is this is a direct representation, or this is like the apex representation of what competition does in markets. Like when you have people like Intel, I mean, who are clearly taking advantage of the fact that they were the best for CPUs, and
Oh
so
yeah.
they were jacking the prices up, throttling their performance, and then Ryzen AMD come out, and then they finally like have a competitive CPU, and they finally make an architecture that works and competes, and then all of a sudden they say, we can get the same if not better performance than Intel, and we can prove that they're overpricing their stuff. So they just put out these
That's
chips, and
exactly what they did. They were
so
like $200 cheaper and faster.
yeah,
It's like the only difference is that if you were strictly gaming and streaming like single core, single thread kind of, well, not single thread, but you know what I mean, like single single core processing, like games and even OBS in a way, it's the way to go is Intel. Pretty much always. It just runs better. But then AMT kind of like figured it out like, okay, we can actually make that happen. We can also make it so this is a beast of a computer if you want to do like video editing, rendering. If you're doing
yeah,
any type of like serious engineering programs, like you're gonna crush it with AMD. And
right,
that's still the case.
yeah,
Still the
very
case.
much, very much,
But it's like I think they're I mean, this is true competition, like you said. This is cool.
yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And one thing will always like remember is that Intel, when it came to gaming, like if you were just strictly gaming and not really doing much else, like not doing much multitask stuff, not doing much like work related stuff, I mean,
Yeah.
Intel still had a very slight advantage in terms of frames and everything. Like they were
Mhm.
still able to squeeze more out of like
Yeah, that's
pairing
what I
with
mean.
more. They were able to squeeze more out of like pairing with an NVIDIA GPU and all that, especially when they already had all that optimized. But yeah, I mean, now we're to a point. I mean, but even then, like when Ryzen like came out, they were like, they introduced these chips. It was still a lot of people ended up getting them because it's like the multi-threaded performance was there to a point where like, oh, but if I want to stream and play games, I'm probably at least gonna have a little bit of an advantage going Ryzen instead of Intel. So, and nowadays,
Exactly, yeah.
when people play games, they have other stuff open or, working on other stuff and they're not just gaming on their PCs anymore. So it's kind of like, you need that ability to be able to switch efficiently and just perform like any task you want, really. So Ryzen had a little bit of an edge on that. Uh, I don't know, dude. It seems like Intel's bouncing back a little bit, but this is just, it's only good for the
Yeah.
consumer.
It's I think what the deciding factor is going to be for a lot of people is the RAM now,
Yeah.
because AMD really wants to do DDR5. Intel is still supporting DDR4 as well as DDR5. However, the motherboards now are getting like outrageously expensive,
Yeah.
more so than they've ever been before. And that's significant because Intel, usually when you buy a new Intel CPU, you have to buy a new motherboard with that CPU, that
Right.
generation. But with AMD, because of their architecture and the way they do things, like AM4 sockets would work for like the majority of the Ryzen series, like Ryzen 3, 5, and 7, right?
Yeah.
And that's a huge amount of like playroom of what CPUs you want to use.
Yeah.
And with the AM5, they're going to basically support that for another 5 years. So that's like, who knows, 9, 11, 15. I don't know what their deal is with odd numbers, but I'm just guessing here.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
so I think it's going to be interesting how this all ends up
Yeah.
um,
For sure.
when you're building a full PC, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, when it comes to Ryzen, they had they had the 1000 series when they first started, and up until I guess the 5000 series. Did they have 6000 series? I don't remember, but I mean,
I
I mean,
don't think so.
regardless,
They
we're
might.
talking 5-6 years of just continual support on AM4. Now they're finally
Yeah.
going AM5, so much different architecture requires a different board. You're gonna have to get new memory. And yeah, like you're saying, it's unfortunately, the price of everything is definitely a lot higher than it was. At least on like motherboards and like the ancillary parts that go like the CPU hasn't really changed a whole lot. At least I don't think. But yeah, I mean, even graphics cards. We're not talking about it today, but like, I mean, the meme that is the 4090 is like that thing is huge, dude, and it's
It's
like and it's
insane.
expensive. So it's like it's
Yeah.
it's certainly interesting, and I'm I'm really curious to see how sales are going to be on the new cards because like like I don't want to be super pessimistic, but like I think a lot of people are going to be turned off by just how big that card is, and unless the performance is astronomical, it's going to be a hard sell. I think.
Yeah, they're with how big the cards are. I guess what we should say is that the card is bigger than a full size Nintendo Switch. It's
Yeah.
bigger. It's bigger than an Xbox Series S. It's bigger than an Xbox Series S. I seen a side by side Founders Edition of a PS5, and they look like they're about the same size.
It's
Like
crazy.
it's freaking huge, man. And that has nothing to do with like what's happening when like ROG gets it or
Yeah.
Zotac gets
Yeah,
it. They
those
start adding their extra coolers.
aftermarket.
It's
Oh,
crazy, man. So like it's going to be very very significant in what people decide to do because like when you get those cards that are going to be taking up 3 slots in the back of your case, you need to make sure that your case can actually fit that card alone. And then also you got to make sure that your power supply can support that much of like
yeah.
600 watts, right? And then you got to follow it up with like, okay, well, does my RAM fit now? Do I have enough room to put my capture card in, or is it going to
Yeah.
take up even more of the PCI space? Like, dude, it's a freaking nightmare, man.
Yeah. I mean,
So
that
it's wild.
size, it's going to be forcing people to build full ATX. Like if they want to build a PC, because it's like you're
Yeah,
not getting
I
away with a mid tower. Like it's just not
no,
happening.
it won't fit. It won't fit. It's just like there's no way. The other thing is, and I was thinking about this as well. If you're gonna do the new 49 series, I know we're getting a little sidetracked here, but just like we're talking about new tech coming out for
Yeah.
PC building. If you go with the 49 series or 4080 or whatever, however big these cards are gonna be, you should just do a custom water loop at that point.
Yeah.
Just like
I
honestly,
mean,
like if it's that big,
yeah.
just do a custom water loop. It's crazy.
I mean, I think to a certain extent, especially if you want a smaller build, you're going to have to, right? Like
Oh yeah,
you're gonna have to buy a
you don't
water
have a
block, and
choice.
you're gonna have to figure out how to set that up because that's the only way you're fitting the new card in like a smaller case. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
yeah. It's wild, man. It's I mean, and I've been seeing videos all day. I mean, we were sending videos back and forth from like Jay's 2 cents and like all these people just because this is the
yeah.
day where they're
Just
showing them
showing.
off, and it's like, and they're saying like PCB isn't really that big. It's really just the thermals and like
Yeah,
the
it's
heat sink you
because
need for it is massive because of the power draw it has. Like
yeah,
it's just crazy.
it's insane right now. It's like so the graphics cards, just the graphics cards alone are going to be drawing about like 500 minimum watts. and the new 40 series NVIDIA cards. And then you got these new iCore or the Core i9s coming out that are going to be 250 watts if you overclock it, and you should overclock it because that's the whole reason you're getting it. Why else would you? Why
Yeah,
else
like why
would you
would you?
buy it? Are you going to buy it for the
Exactly.
base clock of 3 gigahertz? No,
Nope.
you're going to overclock that, and you're going to try to get to 5.8, and that requires like a better motherboard as well.
Oh,
It's like that's going to be so much power.
yeah.
So much power. You're gonna have like the new standard for power PCUs is gonna be a kilowatt.
Yeah, like yeah, 1,000 is gonna be
That's
like
it.
you're gonna need to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And if you have any smart with it, get the platinum rated for the certified
yeah,
because
yeah,
those are
and
expensive equipment.
it's funny. I saw. God, we are so sidetracked. Anyway, I saw a Linus Tech Tips video recently where he was talking. He was showing off the it was he bought a PC from the new company that OTK founded, like the PC builder, and he made a video on it talking about it. And he
Star
was
Force, I think.
yeah, Star Force. He
Star
was
Forge,
yeah
Forge.
yeah he was talking about that PC, and he was like kind of he was going over things like in general, just like just talking about just in general when you're building a PC, what to do, what not to do, kind of thing. I mean, for the most part, it was built pretty well, um but what I saw, he was talking about, power supplies and it got me like looking into, just like the different ratings and like what it really means
Yeah,
and just and realizing that, you're gonna really have to pay attention when you build a new PC of like, okay, what's gonna be the optimal like wattage I want to hit with this particular PSU to be the most efficient and save the most power. But also
yeah.
I had heard too, and I don't know how true it is, but I had heard that it was that the ratings, like if you go bronze, silver, gold, platinum, like those ratings, like you would have to, I think you would have to run your PC for like 8 or 9 years or something like that, from a gold to a platinum, in order to actually recoup the money you would save from electricity between the two variations. So that's why most people just end up saying like, oh, if you go with gold or even bronze, like that's fine. It's not like a huge deal, right? Um, Certainly, I think you should
It's
get some sort of rating. Like you shouldn't just like get one without it. But
yeah. It. The reason why components last longer and they're more efficient is because they're using better raw materials.
right,
So one of the things that you need to pay attention to is the rating isn't just power consumption and efficiency. It's also almost like a safety factor.
yeah, like the quality of the
You
build kind of thing.
Yeah, the quality of the build kind of thing. Like I bought a gold one and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm good." Thing fried in 2 months.
Oh, jeez.
Fried. Fried. I thought I broke something in my motherboard. I thought I had to replace the whole thing and I was just like after that I was like, well, first of all, I went with a brand that specializes in making cooling fans. I won't say which brand it is, but cool is a part of it. And what ended up happening is it just fried, and I was like, "What am I doing?" Like, I have thousands of dollars worth of equipment I got to redo. Let's actually put like a good PSU into there.
Yeah.
Like, don't cheap out on the power supply, please.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Yeah. And you really can't now because I mean,
No. Yes.
with the just the pure like the output of these upcoming next generation peripherals is the highest it's ever been. So you need to make sure that you have good power going to your system. Intel's back though, baby. We'll see how this plays out,
They
and
are. They are. Yeah.
we'll see how AMD responds, and I think it's just gonna brew more competition, and we're gonna get just better CPUs every year.
I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch. I want to see actual builds, actual performance metrics from ordinary people,
Yeah, very
basically.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
very true. So we have one more article before we talk about the upcoming games for October, because it's already October, ladies and gentlemen. We're already there. But let's look a little further ahead. Let's go with this article. CD Projekt Red had a earnings call, investor call this week, and a lot was disclosed and a lot was announced. There are currently 6 titles in the works across CD Projekt Red. We have of course the new Witcher coming out, Witcher 4. There's a trilogy with that. So I mean we're talking not only are they working on 4, but they're going to be working on 5 and 6, and they have a whole outline for this like over probably, gosh, I mean, because we're talking Witcher 5 is supposed to arrive 3 years after the launch of 4, and then 6 is going to follow 3 years after that. So I mean we're talking we're talking the next decade here. So it's got some new Witcher games on the horizon. That's always good. There's Project Sirius. It's actually a new project being developed by The Last is Flood. It's supported by CDPR, and it's described as an innovative take on the Witcher universe that will tell an unforgettable story for existing and new Witcher fans. Still in pre-production, which means it's going to be quite a ways off. However, what we do know is that it will offer multiplayer gameplay on top of single-player experience, which is something new for the series as a whole. So, it's kind of a new multiplayer Witcher take there. There's another Witcher project, Project Canis Majoris, and it's a more enigmatic. Say that right? Dude, this is my 5th grade grammar here.
Enigmatic, yeah.
Enigmatic game we learned about today. It's a story-driven single-player open-world RPG set in the Witcher universe. This is like another this is wild. Like you already had the trilogy, and then you throw in like this multiplayer game, and then you throw in an overworld RPG. It's like, whoa, like what? I don't know how they have the resources for this, but I guess they do, because oh my goodness. And
that's
clearly,
a good point, yeah.
And like clearly some of these projects, like obviously like the Project Sirius, that's under a kind of a, I guess the CDPR is just kind of the parent company over another dev studio kind of thing, but
yeah,
still it's like it's crazy. Witcher, there's the next gen Witcher 3, which I mean we already kind of knew about. Like Witcher 3 is getting a version on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. It's due to launch before the end of the year. We'll see if that still happens. We only got like 3 months left, so we'll see if that still happens. But yeah, it's a rumor had it was going to be a stealth drop today. Didn't happen, so who knows? Yeah, still playing for the year. But the one I'm more excited about, Cyberpunk, Phantom Liberty. The DLC is coming out next year for Cyberpunk. Very excited about that. Definitely excited to get back in that universe. So, again, no specific month or anything. It just said it's coming out next year. Probably going to be towards the latter half of the year, if I had to guess. But the project that I was like, whoa, I kind of didn't expect. I'm gonna be honest. When I saw this, I was like, wait, huh? Is that real? Project Orion is a full Orion.
Yeah, Orion, I believe.
Jeez.
I got you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I need assistance. I need an adult.
Who knows? It could be, maybe you're pronouncing it the Italian way. Whoever found it. The Greek way.
Close enough. I'll take it. As long as it's some way. I'll take it.
I believe in you. All right. So go into the project. I'm actually excited about this too.
Very excited.
What is this?
Okay. So this is the Cyberpunk 2077 sequel, is what this is. This is the next entry of the series. Which is crazy to like even say, because something like that originally when the game first came out, we were expecting like maybe like if there was going to be a sequel like 2025, 26, which it probably still is. I mean, I'm not saying that's not the case, but
yeah,
like,
there is no
yeah. I mean, maybe even longer than that, right? Like 2028 if something like that was to happen, but yeah, so they said they're positioning the game as a way to both expand on the original title and paint over the issues it faced after its launch. That's how they phrased it. The studio hasn't commented on the status of the sequel, but it can be reasonably assumed that it is in pre-production at most. Roughly half the Cyberpunk team is currently working on Phantom Liberty. After all, and CDPR acknowledged that Orion will require a lot of work, dedication, and further growth of the team. And it says they plan to open a North American-based studio. So very interesting. Yeah, there's certainly a lot in the works here with CDPR. They announced a lot.
Yeah,
and we're not done yet, Mike. There's one more. So Project Hater. I'm just gonna call it Hater, like you're a hater kid, like that kind of thing. So this is right at the bottom of today's list is Project Hater, a third IP distinct from The Witcher and Cyberpunk 2077. It's still only in the conceptual phase, implying pre-production, and only a small strike team currently are working on it. CDPR says it's been working hard on Hater, the studio's first original IP since late 2021. But there's currently absolutely nothing else to go on about this mysterious new project. It's kind of wild. They also announced that the CEO is leaving of CDPR.
Yeah,
which is kind of funny.
Probably the last thing.
Yeah, and the CEO's parting ways. His former role to begin a new personal chapter. So good luck to this individual. And he's as chair. He's new personal chapter as chairman of the supervisory board by the end of 2022. So yeah, a little management switch up, and God, this studio is busy. I just gotta say that. Like, come, like this
Yeah.
is just wild, you know?
Yeah, I'm curious, man. So it's like, so it's an investor call. Let's like pump the brakes just a little bit. And usually with investor calls, it's just to make sure that the investors feel like this is the greatest thing ever. My money's going so far and
It's
they
a very
want
good
more
point.
investment, right? So take a lot of this with a grain of salt. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
very
Is
true.
it's like you can have it's kind of like embellishing on your resume, right? You can have a couple of like things of experience or like a couple of people working on a side project like Project Hater,
Yeah,
but like is it worth bringing up if it's like two interns, For an investor call, you
I
got to bring
mean,
it up. You know what I mean? Who
yeah,
knows? Who knows
yeah,
exactly what's going on? I'm just speculating.
that's a solid point.
But
Yeah,
I will say, which are like obviously are probably going to happen, is the Witcher 4 trilogy. I think that's probably going to happen. I do think that there will be the expansions coming out or DLC for Cyberpunk. I could definitely see a follow up. I think that'd be pretty cool.
yeah, for sure.
And I guess serious, possibly. It's
Yeah,
hard to tell. It's hard to tell with the rest of these because there's no real things to go on. It's just all conceptual at this point.
yeah, it very much is. Um, I will say, in terms of the present day, I like. I'm really happy with Cyberpunk getting a little bit of a resurgence, especially after the anime came out.
It's popping off.
So yeah, it's doing very well. Got a player base again. And it's bounced back, and the devs have even commented, said they're like very like they're like ecstatic about it because it's just like
Yeah.
it's definitely a
It-
rebound of sorts. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm very happy about that. I want that game to be amazing. So you know, all the best.
yeah, I think
Sure.
it will be. I do. I got to get back and actually finish it after next week. We're back to gaming,
Yes, sir.
so
Yes,
I'm
sir.
looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward for you. My man needs to relax. You know what I'm
Help!
saying?
Help! I need to play
uh,
games.
Play me some games. Speaking of games, that was all the
Oh,
articles I had, and I think we need to inform the people of what they could be looking forward to in the month of October.
okay. So that's where I come in. I got some games that I wanted to bring up. Probably the heavy hitters. I'll hit them in a row. But one of the things I do want to mention is in the Discord at the beginning of every month, pretty much the first week of the month, right before we do this episode, we post all the games that are coming out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X, and Series S, and PC, and all this other stuff. Even Switch. We basically put them all in to a little newsstand Discord channel, and if you ever want to check it out, you can. But I bring that up specifically because this is the first week or the first month where I made a list and I hit enter, and it said I went over my limit of characters. I
Oh,
hadn't had that yet, so there's a
ooh,
ton of games coming up this week.
a lot
So
of stuff.
I'm 1000% gonna miss some. I'm just gonna hit the heavy hitters. Okay,
Yeah, fair enough.
so well, I'm just gonna do the top 10 heavy hitters. All right, first off is Overwatch 2. That comes out on PlayStation 4, 5, Switch, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, S, and PC. And if you don't know what Overwatch 2 is, you're kind of living under a rock. It's a 5-person, 5v5 superhero PvP, like awesome shooter game, basically. That came out October 4th. So at the time of the recording, 2 days ago. So when you guys hear this, it'll come out October 7th, which, yeah, it's been out already. The next game to come out next week is Dragon Ball The Breakers, which is pretty interesting. That's PS4, PS5, Switch, Xbox One, Series X, and S, and PC. So Dragon Ball The Breakers is an online asymmetrical game in which a band of 7 ordinary citizens tries to survive the Raider, a classic Dragon Ball rival such as Cell, Frieza, and Boo, who will hunt and evolve into an unstoppable force. You
Gosh,
understand? Have you ever played the game Evolve?
I've heard of it. I have not played it.
Okay,
I've heard of it.
so the concept is that there's basically one supervillain in this game. You're either Cell, Frieza, or Boo, and they might have some other characters. But if you know anything about Dragon Ball, those characters, those three characters have of like evolutions and their difficulty and levels. So
Yeah.
what happens is they go around as like their weaker selves and just start destroying cities and civilizations and in this Dragon Ball world and try to kill 7 ordinary civilians, which are just like regular ordinary people. So they're basically humans.
Jeez.
And the idea is the humans have to work together to defeat the villain, but it gets more and more difficult as the villain evolves.
Yeah. That's
So yeah,
wild.
it looks wild. Some of the gameplay I've seen is really cool. That comes out October 14th. The next game that comes out October 14th, which I'm very excited about, I want to check out. Like, I don't like. I want to check it out, watch gameplay, but I really should play it, kind of thing. So what that game is Scorn, and it comes out on Xbox Series X and S on PC. Comes out October 14th. So Scorn is an upcoming first-person biopunk survival horror adventure video game developed by Serbian developer Ebb Software for Microsoft Windows and Xbox. The game is basically inspired on the visual arts of H.R. Geiger, and I can't pronounce the other guy's name. Very Polish. Uh, Beksinski is his last name. So, Scorn, are you familiar with Agony, the
And
game Agony?
yeah, I believe so. That
Where
looks
where it's like Scorn kind of gives me the vibe of that, where Agony is like in hell and it's like just really grotesque and it's like definitely an R-rated game. Scorn has elements of like bizarre horror, like survival drawing stuff, but the biopunk aspect of it comes into where it's like your your weapons and there are puzzles in the game that are all like based in human biology. That makes sense. So it's like
yeah. Yeah.
it looks insane. It like it looks like
Yeah. I think
it looks pretty interesting.
yeah, I think I've seen like the trailer for it. It's very very interesting.
Yeah, we showed the trailer a couple of times. It was on the game show a month ago,
Oh
2
yeah.
months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's finally coming out. You have a follow-up. So there are 2 games coming out on October 18th. One of them is Ghost Spirits Unleashed, PS4, 5, Xbox One XS, and PC. And Ghostbusters needs no introduction at this point. So it's just an action game based on the Ghostbusters media franchise.
There you go. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. If you like Ghostbusters the movies, you're gonna like the game. It's the same thing,
Yeah.
or at least check it out. So the other game that's going to be coming out on October 18th is A Plague Tale: Requiem, which is an upcoming action adventure stealth video game developed by Asobo Studios and published by Focus Entertainment. We've covered it a couple of times. That game's coming out on PS5, Switch, Xbox X and S, and PC. It's Plague Tale is just it looks like a stealth video game action adventure. I mean, that's I don't know how else to describe it. It's kind of like it looks very intriguing. It looks like it's all story driven and it looks kind of fun.
Yeah.
Not personally for me. I don't think I'm gonna go get it myself, but I think it's gonna be pretty popular this year. It could win some awards, just judging off of it. So the other one's coming out, as most people are familiar with, is October 21st. The new Tales from the Borderlands, PS4, 5, Xbox One, XS, and PC. I feel like this needs no real introduction. It's just adding on to the already existing Borderlands,
Yeah.
pretty much universe. If anything, I believe it's more of a DLC than anything like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, right, Kyle?
Yeah, I don't
But
yeah, New Tales from Borderlands. I can't remember if it's like a continuation to the original one. I think it might be.
yeah,
Uh,
it's like a DLC continuation of the story.
yeah.
From what I remember reading. Funny
Yeah.
enough, I got the original Borderlands right on my desk over here. Just realized that.
Just chill.
I'm over here looking at it. I'm like, let's go. Okay. Uh, Following up, so we got 3 more games left. So I'll try to pick up the pace just a little bit. Shouldn't be hard. October 25th, Victoria 3, PS4, 5, Switch, Xbox One, X and S, PC as well. And it's basically it's a sequel to the 2010 game Victoria 2. It's a brand strategy video game published by Paradox Entertainment or Interactive, sorry. And it's basically been an announcement since May 21st. It's been we've been waiting on it for a while now.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with strategy video games, you're gonna know what to expect. If you're familiar with the franchise, it's still like it's clearly a sequel. So definitely check that out if you're a fan of either the genre or the franchise. The next one is I'm kind of excited for is a good thrasher, right? So October 28th is Bayonetta 3. It comes out on Nintendo Switch only. It is an upcoming action adventure video game developed by Platinum Games and published for Nintendo. It is scheduled to be released October 28th and is the third installment of the Bayonetta video game series. So, if you never played Bayonetta before, it's you just run around destroying everything, wombo combo style. There's really good stories involved in it. I don't want to give much away, but it's like you should go check it out. Last one of the top 10 list is October 28th, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which a lot of COD kids are real upset about how it's coming out. But honestly, I don't care. I don't care. It looks awesome. I'm very excited to play it. So, I mean, it's an upcoming first-person shooter game developed by Infinity Ward and published by Activision. It's a direct sequel to the 2019 reboot, and it will serve as the 19th installment in the overall Call of Duty series. Did you know there are 19 games?
Well,
And they announced Advanced Warfare 2 not too long ago?
yeah. So
Or
Advanced
there
Warfare 2,
rumors?
yeah. There's rumors that Sledgehammer Games is working on Advanced Warfare 2 for 2025. It's like crazy,
Oh,
and it's like
that's
rumored
3
already.
years
Like,
from now,
yeah,
though.
it's what I'm saying. Like, it's just wild how early these rumors are like surfacing. You know?
I missed out on I had way too much stuff going on the last weekends to actually see any beta, any gameplay of Modern Warfare 2. But that is 100% a game I'm trying to play. Along with like Battlefield, like 2042. Hopefully that goes on sale soon so I can check it out. It's been out for about a year, sort of. You could buy
Yeah.
it for a year. Whether or not it was a
Yeah.
functional game is up for debate.
Yeah, it's almost been a year,
But
hasn't
that's
it?
an
Gosh.
yeah, and that game is that game's rebounded as well. So that's
Yeah,
pretty much
definitely.
all I got for October releases.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's
It,
so many more, man.
yeah. Was Gotham Knights coming out this month? I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah. Gotham
Yes, it
Knights.
was.
Dang.
Yes. Good reminder. Let me find the actual date of Gotham Knights because I'm super stoked. October 21st. Okay, so Gotham Knights is another game that I believe is coming out on everything. It's definitely on on let me okay, so it's on PlayStation 4 and 5. Is it I don't see it on the Switch. It is
Well,
on the Xbox and it's got to be on PC, right? I don't
yeah.
see it on
I think it
PC.
was a game
Do
that
I?
they ditched to PS4 and Xbox One X, right? I want to say that was the game that
Yes.
did that. They ditched the last gen because it was
No,
probably
it
gonna.
is on Switch. No, that's actually sorry. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah, I think they ditched the last game, the last gen. I think you're right.
No. Yeah, I've heard mixed things because there's already like there's already early like preview reviews
Yeah.
that are going out, and I've heard very much like I've heard for the most part, aesthetically it looked great, but I heard that combat was a little repetitive and stuff like that, so that gets me a little concerned, but we'll see when the full reviews come out, you know.
Yeah, I feel like when you're playing Gotham Knights, you're playing more for the story and less about the combat.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
just my view. Um, we're meant to believe that Batman's dead, so you're not going to be playing as Batman in Gotham Knights. You're going to be playing as like all the different sidekicks and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a famous enemy group. It's not like Suicide Squad. It's somebody else from the DC universe that you have to combat.
Yeah,
I can't
I don't
I
know
can't
DC
remember
that
it off the
well.
top of my head. Let me see if I can find it real quick, and then we'll pretty much.
Yeah, DC's the one thing I don't like know because like Suicide Squad's the only like huge thing that's like, a bunch of like villains and anti-heroes.
I encounters several supervillains, including the Court of Owls, Mr. Freeze,
Mr.
Harley
Freeze.
Quinn, Clayface, and Penguin. So there's gonna be some throwbacks. I think there's gonna be a lot of throwbacks. You probably get to play as Nightwing, uh, Barbara Gordon or Batgirl, and Robin. Also Red Hood. Red Hood's freaking banned, by the way. So it's gonna be pretty cool. I think it's gonna be pretty interesting. You are right. We just double checked. Unreal Engine 4 is gonna be all on the new gen PC 5, PlayStation 5, and Xbox X and Series X. So should be pretty good. But I mean, that's really all I got for new games that are coming out in October.
Gotcha. A lot of exciting stuff. We're getting into the holiday season, you know. So a lot of
Yes,
heavy
sir.
hitters, especially this month.
Hmm. I'm looking forward to it. I feel like this past week was a good little review. Maybe we'll dive in more to these graphic cards and CPUs. Hopefully, we get some more information. More testing comes out. More benchmarks.
Yeah,
Everybody's just concentrating on the size right now.
dude, I know. I just want to see how this thing performs. If it scales in performance like it does in size, then maybe they have a decent card here. But we'll see.
Yes, sir. So I guess without further ado, I mean, do you have anything else left?
No, man. No, it's a good solid week. Look forward to the next. I don't know, dude. I just hope we get more info on the cards, man. That's what I'll be
That's
looking out for this
that's a
week.
that's a fact. All right, I guess without further ado, man, this has been the week in review. If you want to catch us anywhere, you can check the links in the description. Any of the articles we've mentioned are also going to be there. We're going to have timestamps, so you can check that out as well. And try to join the Discord. Say what's up. Check us out on Twitter. We're out here. Without further ado, I'm your host, Michael Anthony, my co-host, Kyle Heath, and this is the M2 Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.